Thank you very much for inviting me. My name is Engineer Ntagengerwa. I'm the Head of Transport and Mobility Division at African Union Commission. I'm representing African Union at this Africa E-Mobility Week 2025. I'm also representing our Commissioner, Her Excellency Lerato Mataboge, Commissioner for Infrastructure and Energy at African Union Commission. So at AU, I cover all modes of transport, including road, railway, air, and maritime transport, but we also have sustainable mobility as one very emerging sector that we are also supporting. Yeah, thank you very much. Let me first of all say that at African Union, together with UN Environment Program and UN ECA, we are currently at an advanced stage in developing our continental e-mobility framework, which is going to be like a directive and guidelines to member states when it comes to developing EV sector. The first thing we are looking at is to see how can we tackle the challenge of infrastructure. So as response to your question is the first thing is to do is to see in terms of the corridors, what are the challenges in terms of infrastructure. So there comes another initiative that we started some years ago in terms of harmonizing infrastructure regulations and standards along the corridors. So we are using what we call a corridor approach. That means multimodal transport system, whereby you can have all various modes of transport that are efficient and capable to drive from one end to another within the corridor. So in that approach, now adding the EV, I think we are able to bring EV as an integrated part into the already ecosystem of corridor approach that you're already using at the continent. Okay, so maybe taking one example of the, let's say maybe the northern corridor, where we have countries like Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and DRC along the corridor. So what I'm seeing is that the first thing to do is to encourage more private sector in terms of what they can bring on the infrastructure side, because sometimes you already have the corridor, because the corridor is already developed, is already functioning. You can see goods are moving fast. Countries are doing a lot in terms of upgrading their road network. And you could see that we already have some harmonized standards at a certain level. Of course, the regions are having various levels of development, but we can see, for example, in Eastern and Southern Africa, we see a lot of very good corridors. So we can just leapfrog on that, already existing framework to now bring in the private sector. Because private sector, they are looking at also the government to bring the infrastructure side. So once the infrastructure side is there, then we can encourage more private sector. In the same framework that we are developing at continental level, we are looking at how can we bring more private sector and also get incentives from the government in terms of the EV. Because you can see the most critical challenge now is still the charging stations, but we also have a problem of cost. The consumers, the cost of the EV vehicles is still very high. So within the continental framework, we are trying to see how can we advocate for more countries to have EV incentives and allow more affordability to EV vehicles. Yeah. Thank you very much. I think maybe I can answer that to the other previous question you asked about the electricity. Within the African Union, we're having other programs that are already supporting what we are doing. Starting from our side under Infrastructure and Energy Department, we have also the Energy Division, which is spearheading Africa Single Electricity Market, which is aiming to increase the capacity of electricity, working with regional power pools and trying to see also how can we increase access to electricity within the continent. I think with that program, which has a big roadmap and a lot of initiatives, I think we can be able to try to increase, the capacity of accessing to electricity and be able to increase more EVs. On the manufacturing side, actually, that is one of the first pillar of our continental framework, because without local manufacturing, the cost will still be high. So we also at AU level, we have also what we call a commodity strategy, which is anchored under the African Continental Free Trade Area. The FCFTA is also spearheading the capacity in terms of local manufacturing, industrialization. so that they can grow in terms of the trade market as well. We see the local manufacturing as a key strategy for us to reduce costs, but also try to create jobs at a local level, and then be able to increase the numbers, because the challenge today is that countries, when they are approaching banks, the banks are still, saying that the numbers of EVs are still very low. So once we lower the costs, we have the bigger numbers, and you can have more, voice to the banks and the, financial partners to get more financial support. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe and hit the bell to stay updated with the Southern African Times. See you next time.